All right, so it's all NBA. We still in the NBA talking about the NBA East playoffs. We're not going to talk about the Miami versus the Hawks. I mean, did I say that out loud? Miami versus the winner tonight. We're going to skip that one and wait until see how that happens. But I think it's going the Hawks for my money. But we do got the number 2 seeds. Boston Celtics going against the number 7 seed, Brooklyn Nets. And look, Jay, for what it's worth, this is about the best outcome we could have had when you're talking about the Nets and possible first round opponents. So what we going to see here with this 2 versus 7 matchup?
Well, when it comes to this matchup and the 2 versus 7, I don't know I'm sure a lot of people, there probably is a lot of people who have Boston winning it, but I think, based on Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and the fact that both of them are healthy, maybe we'll get a Ben Simmons sighting, but anyway, just the fact that you got both of those 2 guys together, and plus the complementary pieces like a Seth Curry, a Patty Mills, Andre Drummond, the list goes on and on. Bruce Brown, can't forget him. I don't know what the odds makers have this as, but I think Brooklyn should be the favorite. I think Brooklyn should be the favorite, and I think they'll win the series. I think it'll go. I think it'll go 7, but I think in the end, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and their supporting cast, I think they're going to come through. I think they're too talented to be bounced out in the first round. And as inspirational as this Boston Celtics team has been, particularly in the second half, this is a matchup we wanted, just because when you talk about Milwaukee, Philadelphia, and I throw Miami in there as well, it feels like if you had one of those 3 teams play against Brooklyn in the first round, you're getting robbed of a potential outstanding semifinal or conference final series. So that's why I'm glad Boston is getting the short end of the stick here. But Robert Williams.
How they get the short end of the stick? They in 2 seed,
right? But it's the old adage, like, no one wants to play this team, because I wouldn't want to play Kevin Durant as a 7 seed, and there's implicit pressure in that for Boston. Boston as a 2 seed, you look at it like, oh yeah, you should win. You won the last 3 meetings between these 3 teams in the regular season. Now, probably some Brooklyn injuries in there that had to do with that. But again, there's just that question, and I think there's still that question about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, who's going to be the man when it's time, when all the chips are down. And then Robert Williams being out at the most inopportune time. Now, you do have the luxury of Daniel Tice. You can plug him in, got great familiarity with these guys. But in the end, it's Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. They got rings. They got playoff experience at the highest level. Now, we've seen Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown be successful in the playoffs. But it's still one of those things, like, if you had to put money on it, I would go with the Brooklyn Nets, because it's Kevin Durant. As much as I still think he's lost a little bit in the explosiveness, this guy continues to he's unguardable. When you talk about 6'11" and the wingspan, you cannot bother him. His shot, the way he operates with his, is still a great handle for a guy of his size, and then just the ability to get to his spot and elevate. Nobody else does it like Kevin Durant does, especially from the mid-range. It still has the 3-point stroke. So, and then Kyrie's the X factor. If Kyrie shows up motivated, and that could be, that little revenge factor, Brooklyn, Boston. That's another angle that you have to take into consideration. I think if Kyrie plays up to his potential and just does the number 2 thing, I think Brooklyn could win this series in maybe 6, because I just don't think, if you look at KD and Kyrie, if they're playing at 100%, and even if Tatum and Brown is playing at 100%, the 100% from KD and Kyrie is going to surpass what the young guns from Boston can bring.
See, I look at it a little different. I think the X factor for this series is the 5 position. So I think DeAndre Drummond and Nick Claxton versus Daniel Theis. I would assume eventually they're going to get Robert Williams back. Or I don't even know who steps in behind Daniel Theis to start.
Yeah, I don't think Robert Williams is going to be available. I'll check that.
Okay, so with that said, if not, then I stand on this point even more. That means Drummond should have a well of a time in the paint because I like Theis. Theis ain't got enough on him. I'm just going to tell you right now. And then, once again, Theis, pretty decent player, plays defense, got it. But when Claxton get in there, he's so small, he's gonna really challenge Theis' footwork. See, my thing is, I think when you're talking about the 4 stars of the game, it's as simple as who you trust more. Do you trust Kyrie and KD, or do you trust Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown more? That's just, to me, that's what that's about with those 4. But I think the 5 position, when you're talking about rebounding, because here's the deal. Boston they could be in a situation where they're one and done every time they go down the court. Brooklyn could be in a situation where they got the advantage. They definitely got the advantage on the board with Drummond, and I think they probably run it even if not having the advantage even with Claxton in there as well with no Robert Williams playing. So I think that's going to cause a lot of problems for Boston. I'm gonna take Brooklyn in 6. Also, I want to say the thing is this, right? The last time we seen these young guns shine, if I'm not mistaken, was when Kyrie was still a member of the team.
And you talking about the season where he was out and they made it to the conference finals without him?
Right. I'm curious to see how that worked now. No Brad Stevens, a lot didn't change. You both of them kind of fighting for that A spot, that alpha male spot for Boston. I'm curious to see, and we'll see how Marcus Smart play in all this, because I think he will be a big key for Boston. But like I said, I'm gonna go with Drummond. I think Drummond and Nick Claxton, that duo, gonna give Boston some problems that they just won't be able to solve, to be honest with you.
The supporting cast for Boston is going to be really big when you consider. I mean, I'm expecting KD and Kyrie to outperform Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So your Horfords, your Theises, and Marcus Smart obviously going to be key with what he can do against Kyrie Irving from a defensive end. And also Derek White's probably going to have to play a big role as well for Boston. We'll move now to the Milwaukee Bucks and Chicago Bulls in the 3 versus 6 matchup. The Bulls, you remember them. They were the team. They came out hot and smoking. They was top 2, top 3, and then they started tailing off. I don't know. Lonzo Ball got hurt or something. Everybody's getting hurt. Who cares? The Bucks with a clean sweep in the regular season. Not that really matters all that much. Drink, are you giving the Bulls much of a chance in this series?
Man, give me the Bucks in 6. And the only reason I'm saying 6, because we know the Bucks tend to flop around, and they listen, when they see the target in sight, they play with their food, all the adjectives you want to. We know the Bucks, for some reason, no matter how much better they are than the team that they're playing, they seem to just let them hang around. That's why I say 6. This series is going to be a mismatch. I'm going to tell you why. Vucevic is about to get slapped around in there in the paint. I think the whistles, they be a little hard in there. This ain't the European ball here. It's about to get real in the paint. And you ain't seen no smoke like this in April, May, and June, because you played for Orlando up to this point. So even I would say, well, let me take that back. I guess he did make it to the playoffs that one year where they got smoked by the Raptors or something. Either way, he ain't seen this. I think the Bucks are gonna come in here and bully them. Look, I know DeMar DeRozan is an MVP candidate. I get all that, but we do remember DeMar DeRozan's history in the playoffs, don't we? Dare I say he'd have been on better teams, and that still wasn't enough. So I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that. I don't think Zach LaVine gonna be enough. Not when Drew Holiday go and lock him up. You're gonna tell DeMar DeRozan, hey, it's all on you. He don't even shoot threes. I'm sorry. I don't know. I could be wrong, but everything I've seen, what I know of the star players in this series, what we know of the Bucks, now it's time to turn it on. I don't know, Jay. You might have more insight than I do on this, but yeah, I'm taking the Bucks in 6.
I'll take the Bucks in 5, and it's kind of look. The thing about it is like, even though the Bulls like they came out smoking and it looked really cool and everybody was excited, and you know how it was. You remember the first half of the season when they were,
it was like the Bulls and the Cavs. They fresh
yep.
blood in there, all that. Yep. Yeah.
But like even then, it was like, okay, all right, well, let's fast forward this to money time, and DeRozan, your best player. I mean, he's been in the Eastern Conference Finals a little bit, but he got kicked out of there pretty good every time by LeBron. Now LeBron ain't there, we get all that, but like the Eastern Conference, arguably more, maybe not even arguably, more competitive now with with the Philadelphias, the Brooklyns, Milwaukee, Miami. It's not just Toronto just couldn't coast to the Eastern Conference Finals and then get on out of here like they used to with DeRozan and Lowry. So so you have DeRozan. Your other two out of your, I guess they call them a big three, whatever. Vucevic, he had a couple appearances. I think he might hit a couple with the Magic, but he ain't never seen the second round. So you got that, and I don't think LaVine ever seen the playoffs. So so at this point, even though I think DeRozan's had an incredible season, I think he's had his best season as a pro. And he's a remarkable story when you look at where he started his career. This was a guy who would think, slam dunk type of things and not much else. The way he's improved throughout his career, I think it's just an inspiration. I really do. But these are defending champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. And I know the regular season story, I don't think it matters a whole lot, but when you get swept by a team in the regular season, I think that matters a little bit. So the only way this is a series is if, as you say, Milwaukee just come in here and they not focused. And they just come around and they just not taking them serious, and they playing around and turning the ball over, and Budenholzer running some piss poor offense that we see from time to time where Giannis is like running the point every time. And like, no, let him be the screen man so he can roll and dunk on some fools. That's what you need to do. So, as usual, if Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton are doing what they do, are they playing at their best? At least can we get one of them, just one of them? Y'all can alternate games because Giannis is going to do what he does. This should be an easy series for Milwaukee.
I just want to ask you something, because when you say playing their best, right? Now, Drew Holiday, I think it should be something said about his defense, because we talk about Giannis' defense as well. Now, Chris Middleton, like I'm with you. Doing his best is whatever he do offensively. But I think it's something to say because, Drew Holiday is the guy, hey, we need you to guard their best player. He's that type of player,
And to that point, for those two guys, you'd probably say the most consistent thing you can find from both of them is Holiday's defense. So if Holiday's struggling from the floor, you're probably less concerned because you're getting something on the defensive side. Middleton, like, if he's not scoring, not that he's a bad defender, he's solid. But I feel like from a scoring standpoint, he is still their number 2 guy. But as long as you're getting something from them, you can't afford, what Milwaukee can't afford is to just have Giannis doing everything on both ends, because he plays both ends too. Right. Their backcourt they have to be solid. That's all they have to do in this series. Because I don't think, as long as one of them is playing pretty good, I think they'll have a pretty easy time. And the other part about Milwaukee, the hardest thing Mike Budenholzer might have to deal with in this postseason is managing minutes for these big men. Because you got Lopez in there now, of course Giannis, but you also got Ibaka and Portis. So they got 4 dudes in there that can do a lot. And it's going to be interesting. And I know they love Brook Lopez, but we know when teams downsize and all that, and we saw this in the against the Nets in the semifinals. When Budenholzer went to Bobby Portis, I think that's part of the reason that series changed a little bit. So you can't be all in on Brook Lopez when they downsize. He don't have the lateral quickness. Portis and Ibaka got to figure into this. I think that'll be more important in the semifinals and on. But that's just something Milwaukee should keep in mind.
All right, so boom. Now going in, we got the number 4 seed, Philadelphia 76ers going to the number 5 seed, Toronto Raptors. Now, one thing I want to say, so since Matisse Thybulle is not vaccinated, he will not play road games in this series. So I don't know how much that factors into what you think going to happen in the series, but I just want to make mention of that. What say you, Jay?
You know what? I'm glad you went ahead and went there. And let me allow you to say I'm not going on a tangent about vaccines here. I'm not. But I am going to say, if the Philadelphia 76ers think they're going to get away with this, with like, well, you know, man, we didn't have Thybulle in the road game. That's why we got it. No, there ain't no way. You know, in the thing that in the Rapid that we had last week, they had Thybulle. They referred to him as a defensive specialist. When they refer to you as a defensive specialist, they're insulting you as an offensive player. So no, you're not going to. Matisse Thybulle ain't got nothing to do with this. I don't care if he don't play a game in this series. They still better handle their business and handle it quickly. The thing about it is, Nick Nurse done a heck of a job with this team. Toronto was out here playing around in the first half of the season. Then they got their feet underneath them. We know about they still got Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam. I think Scotty Barnes is a candidate for Rookie of the Year.
Right? OG Ginobili.
Yeah. They got people. They got people. This is an impressive season. And if, you know, there's some guys out there who would like be coach of the year material if Monty Williams wasn't out here lapping the field and wins. I think that's right. Because if I'm thinking about Nick Nurse, and there's a couple more names that you could probably throw in as well. How about that Timberwolves coach? You know, guys like that, they could be in the mix for that. So I think Nick Nurse done an incredible job. But, I mean, let's be serious here. Joel Embiid and James Harden are no doubt the two best players in this series. And from that alone, if they don't handle their business here, I don't know what you do, but if Frank Vogel can get fired after winning the title 2 years ago, then Doc Rivers, he might want to check that seat and try to turn the temperature gauge down, because you cannot, after last year getting embarrassed by the Atlanta Hawks in the semifinals, and then you want to downgrade to a first round exit against the team that made Embiid cry like 3 years ago after Game 7? Oh, no, you cannot. I think the 76ers get it done. I think you'll see the best of Joel Embiid. I think he's going to dominate. And even if James Harden is not quite the scorer that he once was, and we know about the playoffs, he doesn't, you know, he's got that reputation for kind of shrinking in the moment, but he's the number 2 here. He is the number 2. As long as he distributes, takes care of the ball, I'm a little bit less concerned about his scoring. I don't think they need him to score I don't think they need 25 to 30 from him from this series. They just need him to take care of the ball, run the pick and roll with Embiid, and give some effort on defense. If they do that, I think I'll take Philadelphia in 6.
See, I'm the opposite on you on this one. I think Philly gonna take care of this one in 5, because all they need is just for James Harden to be consistent. If he's consistent in the first 5 games, this one is over in 5 games. Only because, I mean, the Raptors, to me, they limited. I just think we always talk about the 4 best players in here, and you just mentioned it. We got James Harden, we got Joel Embiid, and then you got Pascal Siakam, and you got Fred VanVleet. Listen, the thing is I feel like Philly has enough to like slow down Fred VanVleet, and then Gary Trent Jr., I get it, but like he's so up and down. I just don't know if they have enough in Gary Trent Jr., OG, and Scotty Barnes. Scotty Barnes is a rookie, right? A rookie of a second-year player. Like, I'm definitely not hitching my wagon to him taking us to the promised land. So I just feel like Philly is the more experienced team, and like you said, it's something to be said to what you said about Doc Rivers. Yo, he's out of here. The first round? Yo, that's so unacceptable. I don't think Doc gonna go out like that. I do agree with you. Nick Nurse have done a hell of a job with these guys, because they was dead in the water probably like 2-3 months ago. The fact that he has a 5 seed and not in a play-in tournament, I think he deserves a lot of kudos for that. But like you said, at all, I'm gonna take it in 5. I think Philly get the job done. James Harden comes more improved than we've seen him in quite some time. I think he take it serious. He know this is the chance for him to get the ring for real. Now that he's not the guy. Joel Embiid is the guy. Yeah, I'm gonna take Philly in 5.